bienvenidos to Pica Poco Kitchen. Today we're making polvorones. Vámonos! Bread and baking goods are elements present in the daily life of Mexicans. We enjoy a bread in the morning and also late at night. I think I've told you before that our big meal or our main meal is between the hours of 3 and 5. So later for supper we will have something that it's called merienda, which for the most part consists in a piece of baking good with a cup of coffee or tea or milk. Bread is entwined in our culture from its European influence from the time of the colony with Spanish nuns and French bakers who introduced wheat to our culture, and from there on we developed and created and adopted and adapted, and we have now a vast amount of varieties, which has created a ritual when it comes to choosing the pieces for your family. Either one member of the family will go to the baking shop or go to the panadero, to the moving vendor that will maybe even come outside your door with a very specific list of items for each member of the family. Or the whole family will take a trip to the baking shop and select their very own piece. Everybody has their favorites or the one they're craving for that night. It is just magical. The name of polvoron comes from the word polvo, which means dust. So they are dusties. And that name is given because when you bite into it, the crumbles fall all over the place, creating a dusty environment. As a child, from all of the pieces, I was always drawn to the colorful ones. And one that caught my eye frequently was the Three Color Polvoron, because it reminded me of Napolitan ice cream, chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. Even though the original Napolitan ice cream was pistachio, chocolate, and cherry. I would get my piece, get home, bite into the pink part, expecting to get strawberry. And it was never there. It was just vanilla with pink food coloring. It wasn't disappointed. I mean, there's nothing bad about it. But for some reason, I kept going, thinking that this time the strawberry will be there. So today I decided to redeem my childhood wanting and added strawberry into the mix. So let's see how that goes. I also took some other liberties in terms of the colors, but I will tell you more in the making. So let's get to it. We're going to start by creaming together 1 cup of softened butter, 1 cup of shortening, and 1 cup of powdered sugar. Using your beater attachment, cream everything together until smooth. Don't forget to scrape the sides of the bowl with a spatula from time to time. Something nice about this recipe in this economy is that it only requires 1 egg. Don't forget to add a pinch of salt for balance, and mix until the egg is well incorporated in your dough. When that is done, add a hefty splash of vanilla. Lower the speed of your mixer and carefully, with a spoon, start incorporating the 2.5 cups of sifted flour. After you added all of your flour, speed your mixer back up and stop mixing once a paste is formed. I like to finish the rest of the doughing by hand in my bench, so at this point you can empty all your bowl and your dough in your bench to continue working by hand. Once you have a smooth and even dough, it's time to divide it. And I am doing something that I don't do very often, but it is quite necessary to make nice polvorones. So I'm gonna weight it and divided in three equal parts. And I'm doing that so I can color and flavor each piece to my liking. And for my vanilla, I decided to go for a leafy green. And why is that, you may ask? It is because I am still upset that Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande didn't win any Oscars. So I'm making an homage to one of the best movies of the year, Wicked. So I'm gonna go Elphaba Green for the vanilla. Since I'm doing strawberry, I'm gonna go pink for that one. And I'm just gonna keep the chocolate color. I'm using gel food color because that doesn't add any extra liquid to my dough, so it is quite easy to control. Start by dipping a toothpick in your gel and add as you go, depending on how intense you want your colors to be. For the chocolate part of the polvoron, I started by adding 1 tablespoon of cocoa powder. Every time you incorporate an extra ingredient to an already designed recipe, you have to be mindful of the quantities because in the end, this might end up altering the end result, texture, or flavor of your recipe. So always have in mind if you're adding dry or wet ingredients and start by little increments and move on as you go. And to make my dream come true, I decided to add freeze-dried strawberry powder to my dough. I bought freeze-dried strawberries at the store. I found them at Lidl, but I've seen them at Aldi as well. I just grind them in my food processor and then sifted the little seeds out. Once more, I'm gonna start by adding just 1 tablespoon first, but you will fast see me adding more and more. In the end, I think this recipe can take up to 1/4 of a cup of strawberry powder. The smell was amazing, so I couldn't stop myself. And even though it is already taking a nice pink color, I still went on and added some food coloring. And I just went for regular pink, as I said, to make Galinda pink. And it was at this point, having all my doughs together, that I realized that my chocolate dough was quite of a pale color. So I went back and added another tablespoon of cocoa powder. Be careful when adding your cocoa powder because it's very thin and it flies all over the place. So I almost ruined my green vanilla flavor. But all good in the end. The traditional shape of the three-color polvorones is a triangle, with 2 colors at the bottom and 1 on top. So the way to achieve that is by making 3 equal-sized logs and stacking them together. I'm also trying to already shape them in some sort of a triangle so they fit well with one another. As you can see, this dough or paste is really easy to handle, so this is not going to be a problem. So you can play around with the shape that you want to give them. I've seen them also just in circles, so more than a triangle, it's like a Mickey Mouse. So feel free to make any shape you want. Also, depending on how wide or thick you make your logs, that will affect the end result of your polvorones. So have that in mind as well. With all of my logs together, I'm going to use a little bit of egg wash to stick them together. So I'm going to rub on the sides of the base, which in this case are going to be the pink and the green. And carefully, without using a lot of pressure, I'm going to set the chocolate part on top of those two. I'm using a piece of parchment paper to help me smooth the sides, move gently, and also transport the log of paste to the freezer because it's gonna need to sit there for at least half an hour. Using the parchment paper like a bamboo mat would do for a sushi, I'm helping myself to flatten the surfaces so it looks like a triangle. I'm also using my dough scraper to smooth each side. Wrap it well and we can set it on our freezer, like I said, for at least half an hour, but I'm gonna leave mine for 1 hour. After an hour on the freezer, my dough is quite set, and now I can proceed to cut it into polvorones. This is obviously just like an icebox cookie where you just freeze your dough and then cut it with a knife. It's up to you to decide how thin you want your polvorones. In my case, I did notice that mine were quite small, so next time I will be making them bigger even though I end up with less. Now they're ready to be transferred to a baking tray. Set your oven at 350 Fahrenheit. It would only take them 15 minutes to be ready. Bake them in small batches because they're gonna expand a little in the oven. A great thing about these polvorones is that at this point you can put them in a Ziploc bag and keep them in your freezer and have fresh polvorones any time you want them. And here's how they are out of the oven. Of course, this is a different batch because mine didn't last in the freezer for long. And here they are. If I'm honest with you, I baked some of them yesterday, so I already tried them. And I am very, very happy with the results. There are just two things that I would do different next time. First off, when making the rolls, I will make them thicker instead of longer. So when I cut the cookies, they are wider instead of thicker. I hope that makes sense. Also, you can taste definitely strawberry, you can taste the chocolate, but they are subtle. Nothing wrong with that. I was just nervous that by adding a quarter of a cup of both, it might make the cookie drier. But in all honesty, the amount of fat is enough that they can take it. So if you're planning to make them and you want a bolder flavor, definitely go for a quarter of a cup of the strawberry powder and a quarter of a cup of the chocolate. So you have more of a punch. The colors, for me, they're fine, but go ahead and play with them. It really doesn't matter. The texture is, as you can see, quite crumbly. Not enough to make a giant mess, but you know what? Little Ale, this is for you. Strawberry. I don't understand what kind of obsession as a child I had for strawberry. I don't even know if that's a thing, or was it just me? What is it about strawberries and kids? Maybe not all kids, I guess. They are very good, and definitely you can keep them in your freezer and bake them whenever you need them. I hope you try them and have fun with the flavors and the colors. And if you do, tell me which combinations were outstanding for you. Please bake them. Bake a good batch so you can share them with your friends. Just like this video. Please like, subscribe, and be notified. And for more, follow me on the socials. Adios, amigues.